My gosh. I feel like it's been forever since I've jumped on here, but I just figured, like, why not just share my birth story, talk to you guys, hang out a little bit. I got Aaliyah here in her little wrap. It's so weird how I just have a baby on this now. Like, I'm sorry, what? But yeah, she's the sweetest ever. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. She was born on the 23rd, so like we had predicted, she was born at exactly 37 weeks. I did get induced that day that I had said. Actually, I told you guys that I was going to get induced on the 20th, and then she was induced on the 21st because we were supposed to get induced at 8 p.m. on the 20th, and then all of their beds were full, so we ended up going in at 8 a.m. on the 21st, and so we went in there at 8 a.m. and then we had her at pretty much exactly 4 a.m. on the 23rd, so really early in the morning. So we were there like all day the 21st from 8 in the morning, and then all day the 22nd, and then we had her at 4 in the morning on the 23rd. So pretty exciting. But yeah, it was an awesome birth. I had a really great experience. She's like, why am I in this thing? And also it's like so warm. I need to stop. I keep wearing like a tank top under, and then she's like, her face is sticking to my skin. Like, skin to skin's awesome, but she's like, girl, I'm like hot right now. I might just take her out of this, I don't know. But anyways, so yeah, she has quite a bit of hair, so all of that what do you call it, oh my god, acid reflux, it was all worth it, so thank god. Yeah, I think this is like, her face is so warm. She's like, mamas, why do you have me in this thing? I know, I'll probably just let her keep her head back like this, but she's smiling. Anyways, okay, mom life. Yeah, so we ended up having her on the 23rd, and then yeah, it was an awesome birth experience. I thought it was great. I went in there with intentions of like, I never even told you guys this, but I was like, I'm gonna do all natural. I'm going to not get an epidural. I barely want medicine. Like, I might get medicine if I'm like really needing it, but I'm really trying to go all natural. And I went in there with like this mindset of like, okay, I'm just gonna pretend I'm out like in the African plains, like just giving birth in the wild. Like, I just want to like really feel like I'm out there, because women have done this for years and years and years, and I was just like, I want to just experience it. I want to feel everything. And I know that that's so crazy, but I know a lot of people who have had them with some and then not had them with others. And I had asked my mom which one she preferred, and she said without medication, just because it was kind of cool to like get to feel everything. And I don't know what the hell she was talking about, because when my birth came around, or my birthing experience for Aaliyah, also her name's Aaliyah. I guess if I don't have you on Instagram, you wouldn't have known that yet. So her name is Aaliyah Christina, and she's so beautiful. Yeah, definitely check out my Insta if you haven't seen photos of her, because she's the cutest little thing. So she was born at 3:56 in the morning, and she was 6 pounds 12 ounces, and then 19.5 inches long. She's like, Mom, get me out of this stupid wrap. I'm just gonna take her out of it. She's like, Mama, don't keep me in here. This is not okay. I'll just try to see if she'll let me hold her like this so we can maybe see her a little, because she's so stinking cute. She's gonna be like, Mom, what are we doing? But anyway, so when I went in there, I was like, I'm gonna do all natural, blah, 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 and then ended up being like, okay, like, so they send someone in to like tell you all about the epidural, and when she was explaining it, I was like, okay, that doesn't actually sound like as bad as I thought it could have been. Like, she was just saying how medicine is so different nowadays, and how it doesn't have as many like effects or things that could go wrong as it used to. And so I was just like, okay, that's good information to know. Like, in my brain I was like, I really don't want one, so I'm probably never gonna ask for this, but that's good to know. Like, it made me feel a lot better if I like did end up needing it. And so I'm still like the hottest, like, my body temperature. Anyways, and so then she was like telling me all about it, and I was like, okay, cool. And then when they started putting me on Pitocin, because I was induced, so they wanted to I guess I can start like way before. Ugh, I don't know how to start this because it seems like it's such a long process. But anyways, so I went in there, and then they checked me and I was at a 2. And before they checked me, actually, the lady came in and she was like, so you're 37 weeks, you've only had 2 high blood pressures. That does make you high blood pressure hypertension, but since you've only had 2, you're not actually like at a risk right now necessarily because you've had great ones since then. And so she was basically just telling me like, you don't need to be induced, but it's just something that we medically have to do because it's in the medical rules or whatever. And she's like, but if you don't progress within 24 hours, I'm going to send you home. And I was like, okay, girl. And so then she checked me and I was at a 2. And I was 50% effaced, and she was at like a -2 on the, like, I don't know what you call that, but like where their head's at. And so, yeah, basically I was moving along just fine without any medication or anything so far. And so she's like, okay, well, you got lucky. I'm not sending you home. And I was like, okay, cool. But I was like, thank God, because they had already put the IV in me. And I feel like that was honestly the worst part of my entire birth was getting an IV. So, and I know that's dramatic, but when you hear other things that happened, you'll be like, oh, really? That was the worst part? And yes, for me, that was. And so I was just like, thank God, because I did not want to get another IV or have to come back or whatever. I was like, no, this is not happening. And so she ended up putting like a pill up my cervix, and then that helps to like start things. And then she came back at about 7. Let me look at my phone. I think it was like about 7 p.m. she came back, and was it 7 p.m.? Let me see here. I like made notes of everything that was happening because, yeah, so at 7:20 p.m., I was at a 3 when they checked me, and when they checked me that time, she actually broke my water as well. That time literally hurt so bad I bawled my eyes out, and I couldn't stop, and they were just like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, that just, like, freaking hurt. Like, what do you mean am I okay? Like, you just literally, like, I don't even know what she did up there, but it freaking hurt. And then at that point, things really started to happen. Like, my body started, we were like really reacting to Pitocin at that point. The contractions got to the point where I was like literally holding on, like I was like laying on my side and I was like holding on to the railing of the bed, and I was literally just like staring at those little buttons like where you can push like up or down on the bed or whatever you want to do. I remember I was just holding on to the bed for dear life, staring at those buttons, and I was just like breathing, like moaning through my contractions because all of a sudden they were to that point, and I was like, holy crap, like what, like how am I about to give birth? Like what is happening? Because they were just really, really, really bad. And I was like, okay. And then finally I just got to a point, it was like 1 a.m. I'm pretty sure, let me see. Yeah, 1 a.m. So probably like at midnight I asked. I was like, so I asked the nurse, I was like, when do you think is a good time to get an epidural? And she was like, as long as you can still sit still, I would get one if that's what you're thinking, because if you can't sit still through it, then they can't put it in right. And so I was like, okay, like that's kind of a tough decision. And she was like, well, we can go ahead and check you, and then like if you're at an 8, obviously you might just want to like make it through to a 10, and then if you're like haven't really progressed, then you might think about getting one. And so I was like, okay, that's a good idea. So they checked me at that point, and I was only, let's see, I think I was still only, I don't have it on here. Oh no, I was at a 4. I remember I was at a 4. So I went from a 3 to a 4, and it was 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. So I was like, oh, hell no. Like, I'm not doing this the whole, like, rest of the time. If I'm only at a 4, give me the epidural, send someone in. Hey, mamas. Hey, mamas. She's like, why are you talking so much? I'm trying to sleep. Tita, why are you talking so much, mamas? Gee, I just want to cuddle with you. Yeah, I just... Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. She's literally the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm obsessed with her. She's the sweetest girl. She's the sweetest girl. And she just wants to cuddle. She just wants to be in my arms all the time right now, which is making it kind of hard. But I'm soaking it all in because I know it goes by so fast. But she's like, Mom, please shut up. Oh, she got some burps in there too. That was good. That was good, mamas. Yeah. And so then I was only at a 4, so I was like, send someone in, I want the epidural. And then they sent someone in, they got me the epidural. It was not, I don't know why people try to make the epidural sound like it's the worst thing in the world. It was literally like, did not hurt at all. Like, it's uncomfortable when they do the first poke because it's the numbing poke, and so it feels like a bee sting, but it's literally nothing compared to contractions. Like, I was like, I don't, poke me 7 times, I don't care. Just do it. Like, I just want the epidural. And so then when it kicks in, which is literally so fast and it's so crazy, all of a sudden, you don't feel anything. You literally feel, I was like a different person. All of a sudden I was like laughing, I was watching TV, I was eating food. Oh wait, no, once you get the epidural, you can't get food. I wasn't eating food anymore. But I was laughing, I was watching TV. I was having a good old time. I was like, I am on cloud 9. I took naps. I was sleeping for hours. I was just like, I'm the type of person that can sleep anywhere. So I was like, I will take some naps until this happens. And it's so crazy because you're watching the screen. Like, you know that you're having a contraction, but you legit with the epidural cannot feel it at all. And you go from like feeling every single part of it and like breathing through it to like, okay, it's all good. I can't feel anything. I don't even know what's happening. Like, I'm having the worst contraction I've ever had and I can't feel it. And it's the best thing ever. So then anyways, I started taking a nap and then all of a sudden I woke up. What time was this? I'm trying to look at my phone here. So that was at 1 a.m. and then by 11:20 a.m. I got a second epidural. And so let me explain. So backtrack. I was taking a nap and all of a sudden I woke up and I could feel my contractions again, and I was like, what in the world is going on? And with the epidural, they put it in and then there's like a part that they like tape it so that it comes, like the part where they put the medicine in is like kind of up on the upper part of your back, and they just can like inject more medicine in if for some reason you need more. So you have a button and you can push it every 15 minutes, but it's not like the strongest or anything. You can't overdose on it or anything. Like, it's just like an extra little like boost. So it's helpful when you're like actually giving birth because you can just like know that you're getting a little bit of extra relief from that. But I had pushed that and it didn't do anything, and I was like, what the heck? So then they say like, you can just have the guy come in and go ahead and like give you something stronger. You just have to ask for them to come in. And so I asked him like, hey, can you send them in? I'm like feeling my contractions again all of a sudden. Oh, and with the epidural, like your whole bottom half is numb, so like you literally cannot feel, well, I think it's supposed to be both legs, but for some reason, I've talked to others and they said it's the same. I could only not completely feel one leg, and then like it was just completely numb. It felt like I could touch it, poke it, anything. I could not feel like anything. And like when they would need to flip me over and stuff, they would have to physically pick up my leg to move me because I could not move that one side. The other side I could move a tiny bit, but I could feel it a lot more, and that's, I guess, normal. It's not like I could feel any of my contractions or anything, but that leg was not as numb. And so anyways, I had asked them to come in and give me more medicine. And so he came in and he gave me like another, like a hit. It's like a stronger hit than normal. And then he came in to check on me again, and I was like, that didn't do anything. Like it's like wearing off even more. I don't know what to do. But I'm definitely feeling my contractions again. And it was like a really crappy situation because I was feeling them so strong before the first epidural. Then you get the epidural, you can't feel anything. And then all of a sudden I'm like at an even more intense level of contractions, like farther along in the process, and I can feel them again, and it was just like out of nowhere. And so it was really, really uncomfortable, and it was really painful. And so I was like, oh my god, like what are we gonna do here? And then he was like, okay, I'm gonna get you something that's even stronger. So he comes back and he's like, okay, this is literally something that we give for cesarean, so if you can feel this, then it's not working and we need to replace it. And I was like, okay. And so at this point I'm like crying because I'm like, I don't want to get a second one, which, like I said, it didn't hurt, but I was just like so like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to like sit up again. These contractions are so bad. I just like, it was just stressful to think of like having to do that again, just at the level that I was at. And so I was like, holy crap. So anyways, I calmed down. I was like, okay, he did it. Didn't feel anything. So he was like, okay, I'm going to replace it. We're going to do it super gentle. It's going to be good to go. Like, you're going to get another one. it's all good. And so he was super calm and nice, which thank God, because I was like freaking out about a second one. Because I didn't want to do a second one. I didn't want to get it, but I wanted it. Like I was like, I will do anything to feel the relief of an epidural right now. And so he came back in, and then it's kind of nice the way that they do it. They like they like sit you up on the end of the bed, not like the end where your feet go, but like to the side of the bed. And then they like have Christian or like the husband sit in front of you on a chair, and then you put your legs like onto his knees, and then just like basically you're just holding your husband while you're like leaning forward and they're putting the epidural in. So it's really comfortable. I mean, it's not the most comfortable thing because you're literally like getting it put into you, but you're also, so you have to be like hunched over, but you're also experiencing contractions while they're putting it in. So you're kind of like talking to them through it while they're putting it in. So you're like, I'm getting a contraction, and they're like, okay, just breathe through it, but they're still like putting it in. And so you're like trying to breathe and not move, but they're putting something in your back, but also you're like experiencing all this pain of the contraction. So anyways, they did the second one, and then that one worked. And it was weird because, like I said, how one leg was completely numb, with the second epidural it switched. So then my other leg was completely numb, and I could feel my first leg a bit, like I could I could feel one more than the other for sure. So super weird. But then I had the second epidural, and I was like a happy camper. So at this point, the second epidural was at 11:20 a.m. So then basically I had that epidural, and things were just kind of moving along. Oh, I'm forgetting like a big portion. So I didn't write a lot of this because it was really hard to keep track of. So this is kind of where my notes go, like they're just not a lot until she's born. But basically, they were giving me Pitocin, and my body was reacting super good to the Pitocin. Like, my contractions were really strong. I was progressing really rapidly. But Aaliyah's heart, she would, like, stop breathing with my contractions, so her heart would drop. It wasn't that she wasn't getting oxygen, but her heart couldn't handle when I was contracting. So when I would have a contraction and my level would go like this, Aaliyah's would dip. And so, because you can see the baby's levels, or like the baby's heartbeat, and then you can see your contractions, and it's on the same screen. So whenever mine would go like this, Aaliyah's would go like this. And so they were really concerned because that's, obviously you don't want the baby's heart to be dropping. They didn't know if like maybe there was a cord wrapped around her, whether it was her neck or her arm or something, but something was obviously happening because every single time that I would have a really hard contraction, that would happen. And so they were just like trying to figure out what was going on and trying to flip me all over the place. So like I said, I was completely numb on one leg. At one point they flipped me onto my hands and knees on the bed, which they literally had to physically put me in that position, so that was crazy. But and then literally they would just move me like every 20 minutes, every 30 minutes. They would come in, they would flip me. I would go to one side, I would go to my back, I would go to my other side. Like I said, hands and knees, just with a peanut ball in between my legs, like just a bunch of different things to try to get her in a position where she would not have that happen. And so there was even a point where her heart wasn't able to recuperate for like 6 minutes. And that was the point where they were like, okay, we're going to have to think about a cesarean, because if this keeps happening, you are not going to be able to do a vaginal birth, because there's no way that you can keep going and keep having these contractions. Because when that happened, they literally had to like poke, they basically like stabbed an injection into my arm, and that would like stopped my contractions. So it was something where they can stop your contractions, like, so they could get the baby like okay. And so that was really scary because they, like, literally when that happened, they threw an oxygen mask on me. I didn't even necessarily know like that was happening until after, but they threw the oxygen mask on me. They stabbed a bunch of nurses came running in. So there was like normally just one, maybe two with me. And at that point there was like 5 in the room. And they were all very serious, and they were staring at the screen, and they were like, it was very obvious that there was something wrong. And yeah, so they stabbed me with that thing that stopped my contraction, which I couldn't even feel any of these, so I didn't. It was just kind of like frightening because it's not like I knew what was going on really, because I couldn't feel my contractions. So they were watching them and they were watching the levels, but when all of those people were in there, I couldn't even see the screen. So it was just really like, holy crap. And at that point they were, I think, honestly preparing to have to like rush me in to get a cesarean if they couldn't get her heart rate back up. And so that was when they started really talking to me about like, okay, are you okay with a cesarean? Like, I know that you weren't, like, that wasn't your plan, but like we need to like prepare you mentally that you might have to do that. And so I was like, yeah, whatever, I don't care what you have to do to get my baby to come out like healthy and safe. And so we were, mentally trying to like, okay, I guess like that might have to happen. But then it was like, I don't even know what time, honestly. I think maybe like, I don't know when that guy came on shift, but there was a doctor that he came on shift and he was going to be my like delivery doctor, and he came in and had a conversation with us, and he was just like, my goal is that we have a healthy mom and a healthy baby. My second goal is that we have a vaginal birth. My last option that I would want to do with you is have a cesarean, because it's just a lot of recovery. And I just want you to have a vaginal birth if that's possible. And so he basically just created like a game plan, and it was just really awesome. I don't know. Like, it just felt good that he came in, sat down, talked to us straight in the face, and was like, this is my plan, this is what we're doing, this is what's going to happen. And I don't know how this happened, but basically when he did that, everything aligned, and I was able to have contractions, and she was perfectly fine. She was not having any dropped heart rates, everything just like recovered. And I was able to just keep progressing, and he just kept me only going up by a half of a milligram of Pitocin every, I think it's 30 minutes. So, which in comparison, normally it's like one entire. So like one, and then they dropped it down to just a half. Oh, no. When they first start doing it, they do it 2 milligrams at a time, and you can go up to like 20 or something. And so you go from having 2 to just like a half. It makes things a lot slower. So that's kind of why my labor took so long. Because they had to do it slow, because that kept happening. I mean, this was happening like from the time I got that second epidural all the way until I gave birth. So almost 24 hours of us like trying to figure out how to get this to all be fine. So yeah, at that point he came in and said that, and then everything just kind of started looking up. She was doing really awesome. They were able to keep me in positions where nothing was happening that was bad, and then all of a sudden it came time to push and we were ready to go. I remember I had a really awesome nurse that night, and so she was just like, I asked her, I'm like, am I gonna have to feel like I have to poop or something? Like, how do I know when I'm ready to push? And she was like, oh, you're gonna like legit feel like you have to poop. Like, you will know. I promise you will know. And then I was just kind of waiting for that feeling. And because with an epidural, you can't feel the pain, but you can feel the pressure. So before, like, when you're not in active labor, you can't feel any contractions, but when you go into active labor and you start pushing and all that, you can feel that you're having a contraction, but it doesn't hurt. It's just pression. And some people even say they can't feel it, but for me, I was able to feel it, but it was just pression. It wasn't like pain. And so it was kind of awesome because I was able to like really ride through my contractions and feel them and know. She taught me like how to breathe and stuff, because basically she called the doctor when I said that, and she was like, I think she's like legit ready to start practice pushing, so like we're just gonna jump into it, and then I will call you to come in. And so it was literally just Christian, me, and this nurse, and until you could see her head like that much, I couldn't see anything. I wasn't looking, but I just remember like her being like, okay, hold on a sec, I have to get him in here because the head's like already, that far out. And so it only took me an hour and 20 minutes for her to be born after I started pushing. And so it was legit like an hour with that girl and Christian, just us 3 in there doing it, like doing the practice pushes. And the only reason it took that long is because they needed to do them 4 minutes apart. Like every contraction, they didn't let it go sooner than 4 minutes apart, so they kept them spread out. So if you think about it, it was like maybe 20 pushes in that hour, or how many would that have been? I'm not really good with math. Anyways, it was not that much. So even less than 20, actually, 60 minutes. Oh Lord, my pregnancy brain and now postpartum brain. But anyways, so then he came in, like the doctor came running in when her head was like literally, they were saying like that much. Like Christian was like, oh my God, which was so awesome. It was so cool just to like be in the moment. I don't know, but yeah. So he came in, he geared up. Another chick came in with him, and then literally a couple pushes later, and she was out. And then they had me do the placenta, and then I tore 2nd degree, so they did stitches. But all of that with the epidural, you can't feel it. It's just like, I don't know. Basically, I'm like the hugest advocate for epidurals now. Like, I'm like, girl, if you need one, do it. Like, do not feel proud. Do not feel like you need to prove yourself to anyone, because honestly, I went in there like I was gonna do it, you know, all natural, and then now epidurals are my favorite thing ever. So anyways, but yeah, that was pretty much the birth story. It was a little bit crazy just because of her little heart rate, but she's here and she's so precious and I love her so much. So yeah, there was definitely scary moments, but it was all worth it. And then I've had a really awesome recovery. They said I didn't really lose that much blood, so that was awesome. I watched a lot of really scary birth videos, so I was like just convinced I was gonna have to, like, I don't know, have a balloon put in to stop my bleeding or something crazy. Like, it was, yeah, I watched way too many scary things, but yeah, they said I didn't really lose a lot of blood, and then I've had a really awesome recovery. I stopped bleeding already at like 2 weeks postpartum, so I don't have any more bleeding and just doing really good. So yeah, it's been an awesome recovery. My stitches are almost completely healed. I know it's kind of TMI, but I keep like reaching up and feeling to see like if they're like gone or whatever, and they're just like, I think barely hurting anymore, barely there. So yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, that was my birth experience, and it was so awesome. I think that next pregnancy, what I'm going to do is just make sure that they're not checking my blood pressure before I have a second to like breathe, because that was the whole reason that I had to be induced, was because my blood pressures were too high a couple of times. And so I think that, I mean, this has always happened since I was younger. If I go into the doctor's office, I'm already nervous. I've been walking to get like into the room. If they just like sit me down and just throw on the blood pressure cuff, it always is high. And then they have to do it again in a couple minutes. And so for my next pregnancy, I'm just going to make sure that I'm serious, because one of the ladies told me, she was like, don't let them do that. Like, do not let them take it that fast. If you know that you need a second, have a second, because if not, you're going to have to do, you know, all of these, because I mean, that put me in a position where it was like, your high blood pressure, hypertension, you have to go in I went in 2 times a week for the last like couple months of my pregnancy. And that was a lot. It was a lot to have to go in. And yeah, but I'm so happy that she's here early, just because I am so happy that I got to meet her early and be her mama a little sooner. But yeah, so her official birthday is the 23rd of December, so it's literally her birthday and then Christmas Eve and then Christmas, which is hilarious, because I always thought when I was younger, like, oh God, I would never want to have a kid around Christmas, because it's just too close, you know, like they have to share their birthday basically. And then of course this is my reality, but I mean, it doesn't matter, we'll make it special. But yeah, she's just really precious, and we're so happy that she's here. So yeah, I guess I can come on again and kind of share like what mama life has been like, but at this point I'm still on my maternity leave, so I'm just hanging out with her for about 12 weeks. It's already been like 3, so sad. But yeah, I'm so happy that she's here. And yeah, Christian went back to work after 2 weeks, so he's been officially back for a couple weeks now. This is his 2nd week that he's been back, so maybe it's already been 4 weeks. Oh my God, she's gonna be 4 weeks old. Oh, next Wednesday. Oh my God, what? So anyways, the time is going by way too fast, and I'm not okay with that. Oh, it's because, so never mind, it doesn't matter, but we like lost a week when we gave birth, because she wasn't born until like Wednesday, and he stopped working on Friday, so we lost like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's why it seems like he's been, yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I'm glad that I got to sit down with you guys. My camera just told me that it's dead and dying, so I will let you go, but I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to answer more questions or come on again and share something new. So I hope that you guys have an awesome day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.